according to script, the government literally walked into the monsoon storm as the parliament session did begin today. The opposition believes it has enough ammunition ready to tear into the government, seeking resignations of BJP ministers. Even as the government is on the back foot, Prime Minister Modi said that he is hopeful the session will be fruitful and some good decisions will indeed be taken by both houses. Remember, the monsoon session of parliament lasts for a few weeks there and has 8 crucial bills that remain pending. We'll take it across to 3 very special guests who join us from the BJP. We've got Dr. Sambit Patra, we've got Sanjay Jha from the Congress, and the very eminent political commentator that I turn to very often, Prabhu Chawla, who joins us as well right here on the show. Thanks very much, all 3 of you, for being there. Sambit Patra, because you're the one who's walked into the storm, let me begin by talking to you about the session today, the number of times the disruption happened, and the kind of way the proceedings were going on. Are we staring at a washout? You've walked into a storm. Are we looking at a washout?
I mean, Supriya, those who, as you rightly stated, those who knowingly walk into the storm are the brave ones, and they know that they have things under their control, and that's the reason as to why they have walked into the storm. Having said that, I would say, since we are in governance, we should not have even an iota of arrogance and attitude. But, well, yes, the very first, reflection of Parliament was that the Congress wanted a discussion on the floor of the Parliament. Immediately, the Finance Minister of the country and the Leader of House of Rajya Sabha, Mr. Arun Jaitley, got up and said, well, yes, if they want everything to stop and a discussion to begin, we are ready for the discussion right now, right here, and none other than Sushma Swaraj, about whom they want a discussion, will come to the House and will explain herself. What else can the ruling party do? What else can the government do? Immediately conceding to what the opposition wanted. But the irony is, despite the fact that the opposition wanted a charcha, a discussion, a debate on this particular topic, once we agreed to their demand, they immediately changed their goalpost. And this shows that it's not a debate that they want, it's a disruption that they're calling for.
You know, you're not the only one who said that, because Finance Minister Jaitley, when he did walk out after the second disruption, he did make a statement to the media. And Sanjay Jha, my question is really diverted to you. He said the opposition doesn't want a discussion, it wants disruption. Let me ask you a broader question. A, you have to respond to the statement that's coming in from the BJP, that there are goalposts that are changing. And the second is, Sushma Swaraj is willing to make a statement. Why not let her make a statement? Why not discuss the issue threadbare? Yes, take her to the wolves if need be, but let the woman speak. Let somebody from the BJP clarify the stand on this.
Supriya, let me be very explicit and be upfront about what I have to say. If this monsoon session of Parliament is a damp squib, the sole responsibility is that of Mr. Narendra Modi and his government. Let me give you a simple example. This is not just about the Congress party as an opposition raising some very pertinent issues on corruption that has made India feel absolutely shocked and stunned. I mean, look at the Vyapam scam. Look at what Sushma Swaraj has done. And the best example of that is Mr. Shanta Kumar of the BJP himself. What has Mr. Shanta Kumar said today? He's openly gone on record to say, my man ki baat, and I think he's made a very sarcastic dig at the Prime Minister, to say, I openly believe that this is a matter of monumental shame and the BJP needs to hang his head low. This is coming from within the BJP, not the Congress party. And there are others within the BJP, from Yashwant Sinha to Kirti Azad, who have expressed grave reservations about the way Mr. Modi's government has responded to the entire Lalit Modi scandal, which has engulfed not just Sushma Swaraj, but also Vasundhara Raje. Now, the one principal point that I would like to make upfront, Supriya, please let's understand this. We are saying upfront that if you want this Parliament to move on, then if we have established standards of corruption and debate in Parliament, where you know that the BJP actually did not even let a whole session of Parliament run once upon a time, we're saying you just ask the ministers to resign, let there be an independent inquiry, and life can just go on. But you cannot have different yardsticks. If there's sauce for the goose, there's sauce for the gander. You can't have a duplicitous double standards here.
Right.
And my last point, please don't forget, Supriya, that in the last Raj Sabha, the Congress party has been the most constructive opposition. It had 110 or 105% productivity. All major bills have been passed. So this BJP's arrogance and hubris, I think it has now found its limit. It cannot wait, and we will not allow it to exceed.
Mr. Chawla, I want you to come in on that. There's arrogance on one side, is the charge coming in from the Congress. There's changing goalpost on the other. The fact of the matter is, other charges, I mean, everybody keeps talking about different rule books for the Congress and the BJP. As a neutral party here, are the charges comparable? I mean, with the Congress, they were battling out issues like a 2G, a CWG, and other scam. Are these charges comparable? I mean, yes, there are issues of impropriety. There is no denying that. But is there illegality here? And is the Congress being a little too tit for tat here in demanding for the Sushma Swaraj resignation to happen before they even discuss this matter? Let me just hear your view, and then I'm going to get in both parties involved.
Supriya, we are discussing something very different. You see, you can't compare the two situations at the same time. But yes, I get a sense of deja vu. You see, the Parliament is now becoming a platform for disruption and not discussion. Only the narrative remains the same, the characters change. Narrative is that we must not allow the Parliament to function. It is even the last session of the 15th Lok Sabha that when UPA was power, 34% of its time was wasted through disruption when the BJP was in the opposition party. If you look at what they have done, because what is happening, it has become fashionable to score a point. You are playing to the gallery only because you don't have any constructive suggestion to make. You work on the negative agenda. At that time, election was, of course, nearby. 2 months, 3 months later, there was election, and the BJP was on the aggressive because the Congress party was steeped in corruption. So many scandals were coming day in, day out. And the Prime Minister was not seen to be a strong leader. But they were also disrupting the houses. They were also making resignation of the minister as a precondition for letting the Parliament function. Now the Congress is paying them in the same coin. Congress has no moral ground to stand on. But the question is, when it comes to politics, morality is not the virtue of any political party in this country. They always change their goalposts depending on the convenience. I am saying conviction is now a matter of convenience for all the political parties. So when you're talking about whether these crimes are comparable or not, in politics there are no ethics. You can't measure a crime on a scale of 10 saying, okay, Lalit Modi on a scale of 10 is 5 and Raja scam is on a scale of 10 is more than 10. That is possible. But the question is the impropriety when you are talking about. Congress party has the right to make its point of view, but they have no right to deny the government its right to function. In a healthy democracy, opposition must have its say and the ruling party must have its way. But the opposition not allowing the ruling party must have its way because they want the bills to be passed. Parliament is actually meant for functioning. If you look at the last 25 years of Parliament functioning, only 9% of the time was wasted during 91 and 96 when Narasimha Rao was running a minority government. BJP was in power. When the stock exchange, now in the last session, you have about 40% time wasted. Last Rajya Sabha session, 40% of the time was wasted by Congress party insisting on various issues. But the question is, nobody debating it. Because leaders are heading for confrontation. Is personal animosity between leaders is leading to disruption of Parliament. They can't talk to each other in civilized way. That is the fall of parliamentary democracy in this country. When leaders don't sit with each other, they settle personal scores, they settle personal agenda, they want to score a point, okay, who can be a better abuser than the first.
I get your point. I think you've raised a very grave issue for both parties to answer on. Sanjay Jha, this is a grave charge. The charge really on you is that this is tit for tat. Positions have been changed, players have been changed, but the modus operandi remains the same. Be candid and admit that you are paying back BJP just what they did to you when you were almost demitting office.
Supriya, I'm glad you asked me the question. But the first point is when you're discussing corruption or impropriety, there's not a question of scale. If you're in public life and you're a leading politician, a chief minister or an external affairs minister, you have no margin for error. Now, whether the margin for error in Sushma Swaraj's case is 11 on 10, that will only be established. But end of day, a parliamentary debate is not a substitute for highly principled accountability, which is why we are saying Sushma Swaraj must resign. And I will let you, I don't know whether you have seen the tweet. Sushma Swaraj on her own tweeted on the 10th of May 2013 that if, and this was when UPA was in government, that if certain ministers don't resign, Parliament should not function. If certain ministers do resign, Parliament ought to function. Now, I think Sushma Swaraj, actually speaking today, must follow the very high standards of principles that she stood for just about a year and a half ago. Now, you can't be so hypocritical and fraudulent when it suits you and conveniently, kind of juxtapose morality when it comes to allegations against you. And the second point, Mr. Arun Jaitley, these are not Congress statements. Mr. Arun Jaitley on record, he's said it publicly, There's an article written by him in the Hindu where he explicitly stated that parliamentary obstruction by
is a form of parliamentary democracy
strategy. Yeah, and he went on to say that as a member of the opposition party, we believe we have every right to use the instruments provided by Parliament to obstruct the government if we feel that demands greater public attention.
Just hold your thoughts there. Sambit Patra, I want you to come into this discussion. This is a stated position that two of your very senior leaders, who was once the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, the other one the leader of opposition in the Raj Sabha, now of course very eminent members in your government's cabinet, had taken. Disruption is a legitimate way of protesting in a parliamentary democracy. Why such a hue and cry today?
Let me borrow a few words from the President's diary. In fact, the President of country, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, in a recent function in Chennai, had quite explicitly said that there are 5 Ds in democratic parliamentary functioning of India. The first D being debate, the second being discussion, third being dissent, followed lastly and fourthly by decision. If nothing works, then disruption should be the 5th D. But the problem is the 5th D is being made into the first D, that is disruption is becoming the first option of Congress, which is not the way for parliamentary democracy. Have you in fact exercised the option of debate, discussion, dissent and decision? You have not done that. Today was a day when this came to the forefront, when you had submitted a letter as per the procedures of the parliamentary proceedings that you want discussion under Article 287 of the parliamentary proceeding, and the opposition, and the government was ready for such kind of discussion. Why did you not take part in the discussion? You changed your goalpost. It only means that disruption is what you want. And secondly, when you compare that we have been disrupting the parliament, we have been into obstructionism in the past. Now, let me tell you, Supriya, since 2004 till 2009 and thereafter till 2014, you were in power for 10 long years. And we talk of disruption, obstructionism by the Bharatiya Janata Party and the fag end, the last 2 years of UPA. Remember, piles after piles, corruption cases piled up during that tenure. 2G, Coalgate and Pawan Bansal. Look at the vetting of the CBI files, the land deals of Robert Vadra. Piles after piles. Don't you expect after 10 years a responsible opposition should take up these issues? They should take up these issues, which we took, and the result was 3 lakh crore rupees, which the country has already gained, to which Kapil Sibal was maintaining a zero loss theory then.
Fair point indeed. You know, I can't let this discussion be marred by complete politics. I have to get Prabhu Chawla into this discussion. Sanjay, I'm going to come to you in just a while. You know, we can discuss and debate whether dissent and disruption and all of that is happening. The fact is that Indian economy and very important and very crucial economic legislation is going to be the big casualty of this confrontation, Mr. Chawla. Do you fear we will perhaps see a lot of very important legislation, a GST, a land bill, plenty of other legislations that we're listing out on our channel here, are going to be stalled because of this confrontationist politics?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Supriya, but I failed to understand. I am not able to understand the logic behind BJP changing its goalpost. Whatever land bill has come into the parliament, it is a bill which was passed by BJP. When the current Speaker of the Lok Sabha was the chairman of the committee. And whatever amendments leaders of the opposition, both in the Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, who are now important ministers in the BJP government, whatever amendment they suggested, UPA government accepted them. Even much more than now, what they are going back is on their own amendments which they have introduced. Now suddenly, when they have come into the ruling party, within 1.5 months, they found that okay, they were barking at the wrong tree. The bills which they passed were not actually they wanted to. It means they were trying to disrupt the parliament by forcing an amendment on the UPA which they never believed in. They may be right. I am not going to the merit of the amendment. Even the GST, they were the people who made these proposals which have come in the form of the GST. Now they are going back on them and amending them further. I don't know what happens to various political parties when they are in the opposition. They believe in certain kind of ideology. Then they go back. They become the party ideology of the ruling party. So therefore, confrontation becomes a natural phenomena in the parliamentary democracy. When you change your role from a opposition to ruling party, you come to reality. You come in confrontation with the reality and see what you are doing in the opposition was just opportunistic politics and not based on conviction. Therefore, what you are saying, that casualty is going to be most important, but GST is required for this country because it will remove corruption, it will make some movement of goods and services very smooth, and it will help the consumer to benefit from the lower prices. That should happen. But on the land bill, I don't understand what is the reason. So what is the politics of opportunism? politics of scoring brownie points by debates, changing your own ideological convictions by getting into the power, whether the Congress party or the BJP, that is leading to this kind of confrontation on personalities rather than on issues and ideology. There are no people who are fighting. BJP is facing the flag, they were attacking Vadra, Mrs. Gandhi, everybody, and now what is happening? Congress party attacking Modi for everything. There was a saying when Mrs. Gandhi was there, if there is inflation, it was a global phenomenon. If there was no rain in India, Mrs. Gandhi used to be blamed. Now what is happening? Congress party doing the same thing. For everything, Modi should resign. Modi should come forward. Modi should speak. The point is that legislative is becoming a victim of this kind of confrontationist, personalized politics in this country, which is a danger to democracy.
That's a fair point that you're raising, and I'm going to pose this both to Sambit Patra and to Sanjay Jha. Sambit Patra, if I may come to you, there is a distinct review of the land strategy that you had. You first wanted to overhaul the entire law that was brought in 2013, which had your consent. And now, of course, the sense in the BJP is, and we've been speaking to a lot of people within your party, is that you want to step back. You want to let states take their own call. You do not want a central law in place. What is your party's strategy on the land bill?
As far as the land bill is concerned, let me address very candidly point by point as to what Mr. Prabhu Chawla had raised. Way back in 2013, in fact, the Prime Minister himself very candidly accepted that, well, yes, it is not just that the Congress passed the bill, even we were hand in gloves with Congress in passing the 2013 land acquisition bill. But thereafter, when there was a meeting of all the chief ministers with the concerned minister, then Mr. Nitin Gadkari, most of the Congress chief minister and other chief ministers came up with the proposal that if such is the land bill, then the states cannot progress, and there are certain amendments which are required for the land bill. With these amendments, the government came forward. So it is federal structure. In a federal structure, the Prime Minister rightly maintained that we should heed to the problems of the states and we should try to do away with their problems. That's what we were doing. And presently, you are talking about the press conference that Mr. Birendra Chaudhary had yesterday, where he suggested that if there is too much of changes in the land bill, probably we may bring in a new bill. Let's wait for the select committee's report to come. Let's see as to what kind of changes are there. But at the end of the day, what we want is a comprehensive and a land bill which addresses the problem of the country. As to why the land bill should go to the state, the answer is very simple, as has been answered by Arun Jaitley, that this is an era of competitive federalism, and in this competitive federalism, let the states decide as to how they want to march ahead. If they feel that this land bill that we had come up with is a good one which is going to take their state forward, let them indulge in it. If the states feel otherwise, let them miss out on it. Let the Congress-ruled states miss out on the opportunity of using this land bill and see the consequences for themselves.
Sambit Patra, very briefly, is the Bihar election and the perception that's gathering around your government forcing this rethink that let the states take a call? We are not going to formulate perhaps an overarching central land bill. Very quickly, I want you to answer that question.
Not at all, Supriya. The words that I had stolen from one of the articles of Mr. Arun Jaitley appeared the very first day when we had brought in the ordinance. It was months ago, in fact, almost a year ago then. Then we did not have the Bihar election in mind at all. So to say that today we in fact have Bihar election in mind and that's the reason as to why we are changing our maneuvers would be absolutely wrong.
Sanjay Jha, I want you to come in on that. There was a law that was brought in by the Congress, supported by the BJP. They turned back and they realized this is going to make industrialization very difficult. And people within your own party, a Sharad Pawar in your own government, a Chidambaram, I remember, had very categorically pointed out that this is a very draconian law. It had to be diluted. The law is now in place. The BJP is now having a rethink. They may leave it to the states to formulate their own laws and take on a case-by-case basis whatever happens next. The question that I'm asking is that given the political confrontation on land, are you leaving a lot to the discretion of the states, and would you want a situation where the centre has very little role to play there?
You know, Supriya, the fact is that the BJP is so disingenuous and distorting facts in the land bill that I think it's shocking. I mean, Mr. Patra should know the facts. This bill was never even allowed to be properly executed to see whether it will function in the light of day. It wasn't allowed. Now, the second point, look at the state of rural and agricultural stress in India today. I think this party is so arrogant, it's like the ostrich which has buried its head in the sand. Maharashtra, one of the most prosperous industrial states, is having a rising increasing incidence of farmer suicides. I mean, there are serious concerns in the country. And if you look at the larger issue of the social and the caste census which has come out, look at the basic statistics on rural deprivation, you realize why the land bill is an absolute monumental disaster in the making, which is why we are making the larger point, Supriya. And you are in a business channel, so you will know that the land as a cost of a project is never prohibitive. Number two, and very critically, land is not the reason for either lack of infrastructural development or manufacturing growth. This is all rubbish. I think this is a major canard with the BJP is selling. I think at the end of the day, when projects have happened in the country in the past, they have happened despite the 1894 law. So the laws that we have brought in are anyway highly progressive. Bottom line, I think the BJP really, to answer the question that Mr. Patra tried to say, people like Mr. Pawan Kumar Bansal, Ashwini Kumar resigned because there was a little bit of media and public pressure, and we took a call and we said, well, they will step aside. They were ministers in the government. And you look at the BJP today, so thick-skinned, they have been giving clean chits to Sushma Swaraj and everybody from day one. I think this is a government that clearly has got a hide as thick as that of a rhinoceros's skin.
You know, I see Sambit Patra smiling, and so I have to go back to him and ask him a very candid question, Mr. Patra. Is the decision within the party on the lines that let Sushma Swaraj fend for herself? She's all along said, I will make the statement on the floor of the House. I have offered it to Arun Jaitley, has conveyed it to Rajya Sabha. All her tweets say that. Has Sushma Swaraj been left to fend for herself, and is the decision within the party that she is not going to be defended by the party line, so to say?
This is absolutely wrong. First, let me say as to the two reasons as to why I was smiling and then categorically answer you. Number one reason as to why I was smiling was Sanjay Jha, my good friend from Congress, was citing the example of SECC, the Socio-Economic Caste Census, and he was rightly saying that there was a great deal of rural deprivation. So who was responsible for this rural deprivation all these years, and why is it that even after all these years of independence, 74% of Indian population is still under the rule of poverty? So you are the one who was responsible for it. The Congress was the one which was responsible for it. I was smiling for this. Now, secondly, I was smiling for the reason you said that Kalmadi and A. Raja and others in your party, they all resigned only because of little public pressure. No, Mr. Sanjay Jha, they did not resign of little public pressure. They resigned because there was a sword of FIR hanging on their head. Most of your leaders resigned because there was an FIR against them and they were proceeding towards the jail. Remember, the biggest scam of this country, the Lalit-gate scam, had no resignations. Mr. Manmohan Singh, who was directly under whose ministry the whole thing took place, did not resign.
Sambit,
and lastly, your question.
It won't help Sushma Swaraj, Vasundhara Raje,
let me come.
It won't help them. It won't help them. They will have to face the consequences of their
Let's be economical with our words. We are on an economic channel, so let's not waste words. Now, Supriya, to your question that you asked whether Sushma Ji has been defended by the party or not. Just a second. Right from the very beginning, truth has been defended tooth and nail by this party, and that's the reason as to why Sushma Ji has been defended. Sushma Ji has committed no wrong, and that's the reason as to why, despite the fact that the Congress and a part of the media has been trying to say that she's not being defended.
Supriya, this is the reason why we want Sushma Swaraj to resign.
Sanjay, this is not Parliament. Sanjay, no disruption. Sanjay, don't disrupt. Don't disrupt the debate.
This party does not want a debate. He's already given a clean sheet.
No, if it's the end of debate, you can walk out. You can walk out, Sanjay Jha, if it's the end of a debate. Let me complete my point.
My question is really coming to you. Many people in the market and many people who represent corporate India are very worried that the window of opportunity for the government is slowly and very steadily shrinking, because there are going to be elections up next and the government is obviously going to get into poll mode. So will the opposition. Is that something that bothers you, that the window of opportunity for the Modi government is shrinking and you've got to blame both the opposition and the ruling government for it? Would you agree with me? And I want to ask you this very candid question. Some people believe the government should be far more confrontational. They should take the opposition head on. Why are they not doing so? Mr. Chawla?
Yeah, Supriya, you are absolutely right. The question is, Modi still enjoys credibility in the country and abroad. He's the leader who has got a mandate behind him. I don't know why he's not taking head on whatever he wants to do. He must do it. But the question, I must correct Mr. Sambit Patra first, because perhaps he's got the sequence wrong. Because the Prime Minister never consulted the Chief Minister, everybody else, before. You were discussed only yes. When you had the first meeting with the Chief Minister, land bill was not discussed. And what Mr. Jaitley had said, this bill will be passed, shall be passed without any changes. I can quote many times VS had made the statement, but they have come to reality now because their own chief ministers are facing the flag at their own house. And I must tell you, 6 states have already implemented the old law. They have issued the guidelines of 213 law, which has been implemented there. But as you rightly pointed out, window of opportunity is shrinking. 1 year is already gone, 14 months have gone. He can do much more if he wants to do it. But for that, he has to come down onto the earth and start negotiating with the people. Because ultimately, in democracy, you must build a consensus around various issues. Because everybody wants a development. I don't think Congress party at this type of time would like to be a loser again by opposing any laws which will benefit the people. But the question is, when you have a confrontation, and even now you are seeing that both of them can't talk to each other in a manner which everybody can hear. Because the question, they are trying to score on each other by shouting down to each other, not allowing anybody to speak. Let there be an open debate. Why can't you invite everybody else and discuss the land bill? You cannot, there is no substitute for debate and dialogue in a democracy. If Mr. Modi doesn't get involvement into this kind of discussion and debates with the chief minister he started well,
really
but he must take, for example, he has the first time he
opposition has to take a cue and do that debate. Sambit Patra, my question is coming your way. You have the popular mandate. It's been 14 months in office now. Why are you not being confrontational enough? Why are you not taking the opposition head on? You try to navigate your way through with discussion, debate, consensus. That's not happening. You've got a popular mandate. Why are you not putting it to use?
Remember, taking on the opposition head-on should be the last way. And we will surely wait for our turn. If the opposition does not improve, then we'll exercise our last way as well. But let me borrow a few words from Arun Jaitley yet again when he says that both the opposition as well as the ruling party should not show arrogance of numbers. Well, yes, we may have the mandate behind us, but we should not show arrogance of numbers. Similarly, in the Rajya Sabha, my friend's party, Sanjay Jha's party, should not show arrogance of numbers because at the end of the day, arrogance has to be shed if the country has to move ahead.
Fair point. Sanjay Jha, I'll allow you to make a very quick point, very quickly.
Yeah, Supriya, for the benefit of the viewers and even for your panelists, including Mr. Patra, he should know that the GST, the Direct Taxes Code, and all the pro-industry and pro-business, all the policies and programs have been brought in by the Congress party. It's a BJP that obstructed the GST, otherwise you would have had a GST 4 years ago. So let's understand that we are keen to get the GST bills through. The whole issue here is one of principled politics. And what the BJP is doing is nothing but brazen, hypocritical practices, and we will not allow them to succeed, even if we have a diminished force in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha.
It's been a fascinating debate talking to all three of you. I can only say one has to put the interest of India and Indian economy before you make that discussion, before you disrupt Parliament, and this goes really for both sides. Mr. Chawla, Mr. Patra, and Mr. Jha, it's been a pleasure talking to each one of you over the last 30 minutes.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.